Hi Emma, how are you? How's UK? Is it getting a bit warm? Is it warming up?
It is actually, yeah. I was only in a t-shirt this morning when I went for my dog walk.
Ooh,
So yeah,
ooh,
it's getting.
ooh. That's,
And I think the clock's changed this Sunday as well. But yeah, it's getting colder
oh,
there.
good, good. Yeah, oh, yeah. I got a beanie on. I got Tash's support on tonight. Vegan Clan
Nice, amazing.
jumper on. Yeah, it's the last couple of days ago. It was nearly 30, 26 or 28, and today down to it's about 16, 17, wet, miserable, and it's about
Oh,
10
sorry, that's
degrees
our summer.
outside.
16,
Oh,
17, as you know, that's like, an average day
yeah,
in summer here.
yeah.
Um,
And it's,
yeah,
it's down to about 9 or 10 outside at the moment where I am up in the mountains. So,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
got the heating on first time for a couple of months, beanie on.
nice.
Um,
Getting
if I
cozy.
don't have the beanie on, I've got to turn the heating up about another 4 degrees. That
Yeah,
cost me about 20 bucks a day,
exactly. You might as well
you
just keep
know,
that
and and
on.
and and being a broke vegan, like I'm broke, I'm on the dole, and it's
You
privilege
don't
just to buy a
work.
can of baked beans. Yeah, it's can of baked beans and bread. It's really expensive, as we know.
Did
So
you just want to finish what you were just saying about going to the slaughterhouse today?
yeah,
Was it today or yesterday, did you say?
no, just this afternoon. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Just to finish
So
what
yeah, like I went to this place. It's what's it called? Australian Meat Group. I think they've got a massive gas chamber slaughterhouse over in the other side of town.
Hi Nasia.
Um,
Nasia.
Hello, Nazia. How are you? She said she's coming on, so
Oh.
um, and she's just been sending me love to send to you, Emma. So
Oh.
she loves you so much, honestly. Um,
Feel like we'd get on so
and
well, me and her, wouldn't we?
oh look, she'd. Yeah, I mean, I said to her, well, why don't you come try and join us one night? I said, I'm sure Emma can hook you up on it, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
gone
yeah.
on shy.
Yeah,
She's going to get all
thinking
embarrassed.
I was thinking
She'll
about
get.
whether I could try and get 3 people. I'm not sure if it's possible on YouTube Live, but if we can, because it would be good for me, you and Beth to do one together as well. But I'll look
Well,
into it. I'll see if we can do 3 people at once.
but Beth said to me the other night, or the other day on a clip, she said it'd be great if me, you, and Emma could do one. And
Yeah,
I said, well, I'm going. I said I'm doing one with Emma on Thursday. I
yeah,
said give her a message. So
yeah. Didn't I mean?
I thought I'd leave it up to her.
Yeah, she tried to call me yesterday, but I didn't
Okay.
pick up. We
Are
didn't
you, are
get.
you adjusting your wig? Are you adjusting your wig?
Yeah, my wig because I'm vegan and we were all bored.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I hardly ever
So
cut
so look,
my hair, so yeah, I just
so
had to throw it
so,
up.
so back to the quick story. Look, the slaughterhouse is it's probably 4 or 5 kilometres from work, but it's in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
It's into a busy area and that shit. So I don't want to go there and peek out. And I think they close about 4:30. I always see a load of cars leaving when I've been past
yeah,
around the 4 o'clock onwards time.
yeah.
Anyway, I got down there about 2:15. It's raining, pretty miserable. They got a lot of construction going on one side where they used to have a fresh flesh shop
Mm.
out the front. I actually did a delivery there. Um, and That's just like going in a fridge, going into a morgue. It
Mm.
was smelled of death when I went in there.
Gross.
And I had to do a work delivery. And my boss realized afterwards where I went. And he said, "Oh, I'd have sent someone else." And I went, "No." I said, "No, I'm all right." I said, "It's disgusting, but that's what's there, you know." It's no, and I had my phone running on live, I think.
Oh, did
Um,
you? What
with
on
Yeah,
YouTube?
no, just on my Insta.
Uh,
I actually flicked it. I was doing a work delivery, so I didn't really want to make it obvious.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I got a work shirt on,
yeah,
So yeah, but I just kept my phone, as a delivery driver would. He took his phone in, and
yeah.
yeah, I flashed it around. But yeah, look, back to today. I went down there, stayed a few minutes. It was, yeah, probably 20 minutes. One truck came in with a lot of cow slaves in. They were black and white from probably the dairy industry, the cow slave secretions industry.
Mhm.
Yeah, you referred to the other night about that cow slave industry. I use it on both. it covers all of them, cow slaves.
Yeah,
So
that's
whether
true.
it's
I know,
the
it's just,
milk or
yeah, we mentioned that, didn't we? It's just because
yeah.
I know that I thought you were referring to, to that the specifically the dairy industry.
Well, I did at
So I just,
first. I think I
sorry.
did at first. I did at first, and
Yeah,
then I thought, well, it just includes the other. How do I separate? What do you call the other one?
I know
You know,
exactly
it's just all the
because
same.
yeah,
Yeah,
because they're the cows that are exploited for their baby's milk. They're also exploited for their flesh and their skin.
yeah,
It's just most people, like those outreach videos that I've just been posting yesterday and today, as you can see and hear, and you get this all the time as well, don't you? Probably at the weekends. People can't take their mind off meat often, unless
no,
obviously they're vegetarian. And then, even then, if we said cow slave industry, I just feel like they would automatically maybe think it's about meat, because there's so many videos that I've posted outside a slaughterhouse with those cows, and I specifically write specifically in the caption, these are cows exploited for dairy. And I've
yeah,
still got so many people commenting on the video saying, oh, meat is horrendous, reduce your meat, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've literally said that these are cows who have been used for their baby's milk. And
yeah,
people, I think, just can't take their mind, vegans and, vegetarians and other non-vegans as well. And I don't know, like, obviously meat is goes hand in hand with their skin and their baby's milk, but I just, as you know, I just have this thing about holding vegetarians accountable, and
yeah,
you're the
yeah.
same as
Same
well,
here.
you, because it's like you said before as well. Imagine if all vegetarians went vegan today, like actually vegan, not plant-based, but
Yeah,
actually vegan today,
yeah.
how much
We'd
quicker
be
would
well on the way.
find. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's
We'd be a quarter of the way to a vegan world,
yeah,
which would
exactly.
mean, that that high enough percentage would be enough to change laws.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
exactly,
mean, it takes, I
exactly.
think, is it, it's the scientific facts. It's like 3.5, 4% of
Yeah,
population need to sway their opinions
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and make it known, and actually make it known, not just lip service.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
So
before laws are changed.
if vegetarians were on board and fully embodied and understood that veganism was an anti-animal slavery
Yeah,
movement, that it wasn't a fucking diet or a lifestyle, if
yeah,
everyone had, that percentage had that mindset, we would be well on the way, like you said. So I just feel like the more we can hold vegetarians accountable and help them understand what is happening, the better. And I don't, I always use the term hold them accountable. I think I've got that from AV. And I feel like when I say that in typing on social media, and even when I say it out loud, I feel like people think it's like an aggressive
yeah.
term. Like, but holding
Responsible.
someone accountable, it just means helping them to understand that they are responsible for this. It doesn't need to be aggressive or rude. It's just,
No,
somebody should have held us accountable a really long time before they did.
that's the
So,
word.
it's just about being honest, isn't it? It's not being
Well,
rude.
I mean, I held myself accountable. Um, I got a really good friend, and she was brought up, I think, in Chile,
Yeah,
and she had no, I won't say her name, but she had no, she didn't even recognize animals. You know, they had no family animals, no dogs, cats through her life. She had a little bit of a traumatic childhood growing up, and split up family and that sort of thing, as many of us do. And it wasn't until one day, what was she? Look, around 30, something like that, 28, and she found an abandoned puppy, like literally hand size, in a garbage bin, and he was sort of crying, making noise, and she looked at him, and she said, Terry, when I saw all this, it all fell together. She said, wow, they make noise. He
yeah,
wants he wants help.
yeah,
And she picked him up, and took him home and nursed him and fed him. And she said, I had no idea that they would recognize you or love you back, because
Exactly.
she'd been brought up so removed from it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
she's now, you know, like she's now vegan as fuck. And, you know, it's, that's how disconnected they want us to be.
Exactly. They do. They purposely keep us disconnected, don't they? So that we
Yeah, like
continue.
going to today, going back to today, when I finally left, I saw a cow truck going in. I saw a guy coming up. You know, he was dressed in white with his face covered up to here with
Yeah.
hygiene stuff.
Yeah.
No blood on him, so he was probably a superior in there over the, you know, over the place, but from inside the facility. And I got back in my car at that time, and the windows open a little bit. And he's come up and asked if I'm all right. And yeah, mate. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I've been told you're filming." I said, "Yeah, I was doing a bit of filming." I said, I saw, you know, seeing the individuals going in. And he went, "What? What do you mean?" I said, "The individuals on the cow slave truck."
Yeah. Individuals.
And he went, well, you know, some of us eat meat, you know. And I said, "Yeah, but it doesn't make it right." I said, "It's, you know," and he said, "Oh, it's, we're allowed to do it or something." I can't remember. It was like, it's on my live. But yeah, you know, and he tried to justify it with some of us eat meat. And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't make it moral." He
Mm,
said, "In your eyes, you know, in your eyes, in the eye of the beholder." And
mm,
he said it quite patronizing, but I sort of realized that there I am. I'm in my car at the side of the road. Felt a little bit vulnerable, so I was
yeah.
just,
On
not
your
that
own.
he's going to do anything,
Yeah.
but I mean, he said he's taken my number down. He's going to call the police. I said, "Do that." I said,
You're not doing
"I haven't
anything
done anything
illegal.
wrong." Yeah, I haven't done it. He said, "Well, yeah, that's right." He said, "You went down the driveway. I'm told you went down the driveway." I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "Well, you know, don't do that. If you do that again, we'll call the police. It's trespass," which is fair. But then, well, actually, I didn't say it, but there's no sign that says don't enter. And
Mm,
it's a construction site now. So, you know, it's now in and out of a construction site, but it is their property. So
mm,
that's fair, you know, like, and he's given me the warning, don't come again, or he'll call the police. That's what anyone's entitled to do.
yeah.
Um, and but if I go back, there's about a 4 meter, 3 or 4 meter strip of grass, which is called nature strip, between the fence and the curb. That's public land, council land, and I'll go there. And no doubt they'll call again,
Yeah.
but they
Can't
can't.
do anything about it though, can they? Like they can't
No, no.
silence us. They're not going to stop us from showing people the truth and the reality of what's going on. I've just got a
Yeah,
comment coming in here. There's this Neil guy. He's commented quite a few times, like talking about rabbit food and rabbit food though. And he loves chicken,
ah,
gym fuel chicken. Like you're talking about someone's dead body there. But the last thing that he just said was, "I respect your opinions on this,
no,
but
you don't.
I'll never turn." So what do you say about that?
Well, do you think you would go shooting elephants or lions if you got the opportunity? You know, or attend a bullfight? How do you feel about those?
Yeah, or cutting beagles open,
Um,
test toxic, chemicals on them,
yeah,
or testing on
yeah,
beagles, taking
yeah,
their eyeballs out and stuff like that. Because that's what you're essentially, if you're opposing veganism, then those are all things that you're supporting as well.
yeah.
We're talking about
And you
animal
probably,
exploitation, not just their flesh. You have to
yeah,
understand that.
and that person, you are, like Emma just said it, you can't criticize it. And I'll get to that in a second. But I'll bet right now you have products in your house that have been tested on beagles, ex-racing greyhounds, monkeys, rabbits, and they're in your house right now.
Yeah,
So you are defending that.
cleaning products,
Are
cleaning
you going
food.
to purposely buy products that are tested on animals because you'll never turn?
Yeah, it's weird, weird.
It's easy to be against an injustice that you don't participate in. And it takes courage, Neil Shaw, to stand up to one that you do.
Yeah.
You're probably quite a decent human being. and you're probably the same as the rest of the majority, and you're against bullfighting and trophy hunting, the same as Emma and I were. But we were participating in something even more heinous. But we took responsibility. That's just what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we took responsibility.
Yeah, we held ourselves accountable. We said,
Yeah.
if I don't change, I'm just being a massive hypocrite because I'm against it, but I'm actively participating in it. I'm viewing animals as objects when actually I know deep down that we know that they're not objects. We've just been conditioned to believe that they are objects so that we don't see them as individuals, so that we can continue exploiting them and like funding these industries who have literally brainwashed our parents and our grandparents, and they've all told us that it's normal and it's necessary, but it's not. So we're just going back to viewing animals how we did when we were children.
Yeah, and look, there's another comment here. Genuinely no hate. That usually sounds a bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
Carnivorous animals. Humans are not carnivorous animals, right? But if you're referring to lions and, you know, eating zebras and gazelles, there's not much we can do about that. And you are not one of them. And you don't, if you're comparing yourself to one of those animals, you know, like, what else do you do like those animals? What other morals in your life do you base on those animals? You know, do you eat your new girlfriend's babies? If you get a new girlfriend, she's got some kids, do you kill them? Because that's what lions do when they take over a pride. Do you beat up the girl that you like? You go and beat the boyfriend up, send him packing, kill his kids. What do you think the judge would say? You know, you get in there and go, but lions though, Your Honour. There's a line from Gary. Lions though.
And also, like, you're talking about carnivorous animals as if you're acting like a carnivorous animal, an obligate carnivore, which you are not. But do you really think that obligate carnivorous animals go around, like, you know, chopping each other up just to test on each other, or like shooting each other for fun, or going to like force other animals into entertainment facilities? Like, remember, this isn't just about eating their flesh, it's about not exploiting them for anything. So you're trying to base your morals on carnivorous animals, but you exploit other animals in multiple different ways. You don't just exploit them for their flesh, we assume, because why are you just talking about their flesh? You know, if you're claiming to do it for a health reason, not because you don't view animals as objects, then why do you exploit animals for all of these other different things? Because you're trying to pretend that you're a carnivorous animal, but carnivorous animals literally do it for survival and because they have to. You don't, which is why you exploit animals for various different things, unnecessary various different things. Like, I assume that you're maybe against certain forms of, you know, entertainment, for example, bullfighting, like Terry just said, but maybe you go
fox hunting.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe you think that it's fine to wear their skin. That is not a survival. You don't need to wear animal skin for survival in 2026. Whatever first world country you're in, I assume, like, you should not be taking someone else's skin for yourself, for fashion, for anything. Like, this isn't just about their flesh. And so, you know, so many people have these insecurities because you think that we're trying to change your diet because you think veganism is a diet. It's not about changing your diet at the root. The root is not exploiting them for anything, not seeing them as objects. That's just what we're trying to get people to do. Wearing
it's really not hard. You actually agree with the principle of veganism probably in most aspects of your life. Like the quote I just said, it's easy to be against something you don't have to give up. Maybe you understand that. You don't have to give up trophy hunting or the fur industry. You don't have to give up buying fur coats. If you could afford a mink coat that cost £20,000, would you buy one? That's a test for you. You know, like, the most horrible, disgusting things that happen to animals is sometimes for humans, for fashion. What goes on in the fur industry? these celebrities and rock stars and rap stars, whatever, they're buying these fur coats that cost $50,000, $100,000, pounds, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
torturing animals, anally electrocuting, slamming them on the ground. They don't want to cut them because they don't want to cut the skin.
Yeah. Should we? I think there's a lot of obviously trolls in here asking ridiculous questions. So maybe we just, if anyone asks a sensible question, then maybe we
Yeah,
focus on that. And then I'll ask you other questions about, like activism and stuff, like in case, any
yeah,
activists are rewatching this as well. And then if there's
yeah,
any sensible
yeah,
questions from people who are open-minded, because there's
yeah.
obviously a lot of people who are feeling quite triggered and guilty, and you know what it's like. Um, so, what do you think the main? I might have asked you this in the past, but what do you think the main reason is that many vegans aren't active?
Uh, just a comfort zone. They think they're doing enough,
Yeah,
and I think they're not committed for the animals. I think we've spoken about this, that unfortunately, the trolls might like this, but a lot of the vegans that might put down that they're vegan, this is some of the problems that we're facing. But they're not, they're plant based. But you ask them, they might go to work and say, I'm vegan now. And then 6 months later, they're not. So, and that's what's tainted our job. It's what's made our job harder.
yeah,
They never did it for the animals in the
yeah,
beginning.
exactly. Yeah,
The best way I can put it is that you and I, and I think we might have said it on the last chat,
phone call that we had.
that yeah, like you and I did it for the animals, and the consequences of that is we end up with a plant-based diet
Yeah,
and synthetic shoes, and I don't buy wool, and I don't go to the zoo and the circus.
yeah,
Whereas a plant-based dieter, they change their diet for themselves for whatever reason, and the consequences of that is they save animals,
mm,
and then they call themselves vegan,
yeah, exactly. And
and
that's
then
what
they,
we
and
said
then they buy a
before.
leather jacket, and they sit down. That test I did on your post the other week with those two pretend vegans, and one I got to the fourth time. 3 times I asked her, do you sit down and eat with non-vegans? And she came back with more attacks on me,
Then
still
actually,
without answering my question.
yeah,
And then the last time she came back and attacked me, I think it was like 4 or 5 days later, she was still going 4.5 days later. How triggered? Why not just
I think
learn from it?
yeah, I think I might have
And
blocked
she and
her
she came
actually.
back, she gave me more crap, and I just said, you haven't answered me. This is the fourth time.
Yeah,
Do you sit down and eat with non-vegans? And then she never came back.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Just
Yeah,
so that's the issue. That's why they're not loud. They won't even abstain from eating with them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the way it is. It's just there's very
Why I
few of
think
us.
we've said before, that's why when I was plant-based and I didn't understand what veganism actually
Yeah,
was, the opposite of what you just said, the opposite of what I'm doing now is that I went in my mind, I thought I was vegan, but I was actually just mostly plant-based, cheating every so often. You can't have a
mm,
cheat from justice. If I'd known that it was about justice, then it would have been very different.
yeah,
But yeah, I was doing it for the health, environment, maybe a little bit of animals. Oh yeah, I'm helping animals, I'm reducing harm in some kind of way. Whereas when I fully understood, when I saw Slaughterhouse footage this time last year and woke up to it all, animals, it's about the fucking animals. It's purely about the animals. And then as a bonus, as a consequence of that, we are living healthily. We're not
yeah,
probably going to get less cancers, not as at risk of heart disease. We're helping the environment, blah blah blah, but only because of that small part of veganism being a plant-based diet. The rest of it, like not going to a zoo, doesn't help the environment or my health. Not buying leather doesn't help my health. So we know that it's about the animals. And like these trolls in here constantly talking about meat, they like you always
Why don't they defend trophy hunting?
yeah, they
Which
want
of the trolls, if there's a few in there, will you defend trophy hunting, bullfighting, and fox hunting? Defend that. Start talking about that.
yeah,
Trophy hunting first.
yeah,
Who's game enough to defend killing giraffes and elephants and orcas in swimming pools? Are you going to defend that? I know that's close to you, Emma.
yeah.
You know, defend it. Get on here and try and justify orcas in swimming pools. For years, decades, elephants being you know, enslaved in festivals in India. They're chained up. 20, 30, 40, 50 years they do this, and occasionally they have a meltdown. I got a video on our upright screen of an elephant. He's got like 3,000 people all around him. He's draped in all this jewelry, and he's cracked, and he's stamping someone and throwing them around with his foot. They're caught around his foot. Oh, they're dead. They're not getting out of that. He just cracked it. He might have been doing it for 50 years. So I want to see one of these trolls defend that.
Yeah.
Defend enslaving that elephant.
It's
And
just
those monkeys on chains that we see coming on the charity. The charities put those ads out. Please help the animals in Asia. You know, we're trying to help them. They're not even bloody vegan, these organisations.
exactly, it's
And
crazy.
people like you, people
Yeah.
like these trolls and your family members, your grandma and your mum are donating to places like that to try and help the bear bile, get out of the bear bile farming, to stop the fur industry, to get the monkeys away from out of chains and being used on the street. Why don't you defend those instead of fucking bacon?
They keep
That's what
saying-
this is about.
exactly.
That's what this is about. Not your fucking taste pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. It's about not oppressing animals for anything. Yeah, exactly. It's we're trying to
Be
get
consistent.
we're trying to get to the root cause of it. They keep trying to, like, you know, because they're not liking what you're saying, so they're trying to claim that
No.
you're not letting me speak. But I'm here interviewing Terry. He's got a lot to say. He does a lot of activism. A lot of people can learn from Terry. So we're doing this. So, you know, I'm asking Terry the questions. So you don't need to try and come up with other excuses to try and make yourself feel better because Terry's holding you accountable. It's just another, like, we can see right through you. We see this, you know, Terry's out on the street every week. I'm out doing activism all the time. We know why you're getting triggered and why you're feeling guilty, and saying things like that. It's just insane. So, but what we're basically trying to say is that we're trying to get to the root cause of the issue here, and that you are all still brainwashed into thinking that animals are here for you to use. And one of the consequences of that is that you think it's okay to wear their skin, to use products tested on them, to eat their flesh, to steal their baby's milk. But the root cause of the problem is that you view them as objects, not as individuals. Even with dogs, you know, like with dogs, most people do have, you know, if they have a dog, they have a close relationship with that dog. But I honestly still think that many people still view dogs as commodities as well, as sort of, you know, not, they don't quite see them as individuals.
Certainly.
Because most people still think, other than true vegans, actual animal liberationists.
Can I,
Yeah, go on. Have you seen one of the comments?
most people will say they love dogs, but when you boil it down, they love their dog.
Exactly. Yeah.
They'll quite happily kick another fucking dog who comes near theirs or comes in their garden,
That's so true, actually. Yeah.
throw stones at them.
Yeah.
If the nation of the UK and Australia love dogs, why is every dog shelter overflowing with fucking dogs?
Exactly.
During COVID, shelters were having dogs adopted. Dogs and cats were being adopted. One of my friends called me up when all the restrictions ended, 22, something like that, 23, last time I spoke to him, I think. And he said, can you believe it, Terry? People, it's on the news, people are taking their dogs back that they adopted at the beginning of COVID. And I said, mate, you're putting pigs in gas chambers.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just went, oh, fuck. You know, I said, mate, what do you expect me to say?
Yeah,
I said,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
shit. I
Yeah.
said, it's shit. I said, the people doing that are the people who put pigs in fucking gas chambers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah.
who takes their dog to a shelter.
Yeah.
Vegans don't take their dogs to shelters.
Exactly.
They'll go
100%.
homeless. They'll
Yeah.
go homeless.
I'd rather, exactly, you know, when that, you know, because we adopted Ezra last year, they said that they, you know, bought a puppy and had a baby at the same time and just gave him up after a few weeks. And I just like, I cannot even imagine it. Like, I would find it just as hard to give up the dog as it would to give up the baby.
Give up the
Like,
fucking baby.
exactly. Like, I'd rather give up the
Buy a
baby.
motorcycle. Buy a motorcycle.
Don't
It's
even
much
need
cheaper.
It's not even about loving animals, you know, we've said this before, haven't we? It's not about loving
Yeah.
animals, it's just about basic respect. And one of the things that
Yeah.
makes me cringe a little bit, and I know that a lot of vegans and activists are saying this with good intentions, but this is an AV thing that I think I've, you know, picked up as well, and it's helped me a lot. Like, we shouldn't be saying it's about loving animals, it's about
No,
respect
I don't at all.
individuals, you know, because we wouldn't say I'm not racist because I love black and brown people as a white person. I'm not racist because I respect people's basic, you know, rights and people's, you know, just basic rights to not be exploited and used and seen as and discriminated against. So that
Yeah.
language as well, you know, why love one and
I
hate the other and that kind of thing. It's just like,
yeah. I've actually got a picture. One of my posters is like that, and one of my girls loves it, and it does bring people over. I tell you, it brings people for a conversation.
what? Why love
Um,
one and eat the other?
yeah, it's actually pick one, eat one, love one. You can't do both,
Oh right, okay, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
it's like 1.2 meters high. It brings a lot of people for a conversation.
yeah,
It gets a lot of photographs. A lot
yeah,
of people photograph it,
yeah.
so it gets them thinking anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, if I was to print it, if I was to print it today, I wouldn't do it. I did that 4 years ago,
But you
and
know,
I wouldn't.
there's nothing wrong with those getting those conversations started because, as you know,
Yeah,
like one of the signs, well, the sign that I hold when I go out on my own, when I'm not with a group doing We the Free, the sign that I hold is, you know, make animal abuse should be legal. But as we know, you know, as you know, and use that language as well, is that I wouldn't say abuse on its own usually. Like I try and use exploitation
yeah,
or use as well because we don't want people to think it's a welfare message, but I have to use that to get people in because no
yeah,
one's going to come up to me if it says make, you know, animal use should be legal. They would probably know what, you know, they would clock on, and it's not
yeah.
as, you know, grabbing, is it? It doesn't get people's
No.
attention. So yeah, I think I understand what you mean by that, but it's just, you know, in conversation and when we're sort of trying to explain it to people, I try and never say, you know, I'm vegan because I love animals. Do you get what I mean? Do
Look, I soon after, I don't even say it anymore, Emma. I think I've become numb to it. I feel like I betrayed them all these years.
mm,
I don't particularly love dogs in particular anymore. I owned, used to in the old language. I had 3 dogs over 25 years, and I was the typical dog lover. Um, I don't call myself a dog lover anymore. I don't go out of my way to pat the dog.
yeah,
I've just got the same for all of them. I would
exactly.
rather if someone came down the street with a goat or a sheep, I'd be all over them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Um, I've had great interactions with goats and sheep,
yeah,
and they're amazing animals.
yeah,
They're so friendly, and
yeah. But I think a lot of it is like, you know, I do believe that, you know, most humans do have a this strong connection with other animals because we can see how innocent they are. It's like, you know, when you see I'm not that keen on babies, but a lot of, you know, people think that babies are cute, human babies are cute because they're innocent, you know, they're young, they're vulnerable and whatever else. And it's like you feel that instinctive need to protect them. And I think a lot of humans do feel like that with other animals as well, instinctively. But at the same time, with like dogs, for example, and maybe even with other animals, it's like the way that people obsess about dogs and say that they love dogs and they're a dog lover. I feel like part of that is like a sense of like dominion. And it's a sense of, you know, I still feel like I've got dominion over you, and it's very much as well because I feel like we get more from dogs than they do from us. You
Yeah,
know, we feel that they literally give us, you know, so much emotionally. And I just, you know, I'm not, you know, there's nothing wrong with looking after dogs and having them in your care. But a lot of the time, unfortunately, when people have pet dogs or cats, it's because they get so much from those animals, and they
mm,
see them as, you know, it's a sense of dominion. How do you
yeah.
feel in terms of that? Do you agree or
I, I think I agree with that. Yeah, if you're not vegan, I mean, our job
yeah,
now is to
if you're
take
not
care
vegan,
of them.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Our job now, I mean, I had them because I wanted them. It's the same as I think uh, I'm going to get shot for this. I know. You know what my mate said. He said, "You're the vegan geezer." He said, "Just say it." Um, people who have babies because I want a baby. I want one. We want one. I think that's really selfish.
yeah,
I just, no matter what, as long as you've got a great world to bring them into,
yeah, exactly,
you know.
exactly,
But yeah, there's so many people don't.
yeah,
They bring them into a world where they struggle, but they
yeah,
still want one.
yeah, exactly. It's weird. I mean,
And
yeah, that's, you know, I'm still undecided. As you know, I'm 33, happily married, and whatever else with our two fur babies, but I still just don't know. I'm like, I'm always trying to work out why do people actually have babies? Like, why? You know,
because they want
why?
one, I think it's a selfish. Like,
Yeah,
do we need to produce more humans, Emma? Ask yourself some critical questions.
absolutely not. Obviously, it's not, you know, great. You know, society doesn't
We're,
need more humans.
we're not going extinct. You
Yeah.
know, that would be the best thing for this planet if we did.
And that would be the
Um,
natural reason to keep producing is just so that,
yeah,
you know, so that your
yeah,
species continues. That's the natural. But because
yeah.
humans are so
You
messed
don't
up,
need to do it.
it's for
Yeah,
different reasons now. You know, we've got all of these psychological issues, and I feel like obviously that's why people
yeah,
are so addicted to exploiting animals as
yeah.
well. Because
It's
a
just
lot of the
normal,
time
isn't it?
I've spoken to Beth about this multiple times, and you know, it's like I'm constantly trying to work out why, because we were brainwashed for so long as well. It's like, how could I have not seen it? And yeah, I think it's people are just cannot even imagine themselves living without using animals because people's whole lives revolve around exploiting animals.
Yeah,
And I do
yeah,
think, you know, when human slavery was being abolished, maybe they had it a little bit easier because maybe not everyone had a human slave in the West, probably not, you know, obviously. And it's not like every single element of their lives revolved around exploiting those humans. Whereas
mm,
your average non vegan today, it's like, you know, they feel like in their mind, I know that we've said this before, but they feel like their whole lives are going to completely change. And I think I've been thinking about this a lot because of what happened, you know, before last weekend with John's family. And I was just like, how can she have seen all of my content? How can she have had the opportunity to take her children to a happy farmed animal sanctuary and just completely purposely avoided that situation? And I just think maybe from their point of view, the reason that they purposely want to brush it under the rug and ignore it is because so many elements of their life revolve around using animals. But again, it's like for us, when we put ourselves into the animal's position and realize that they are individuals, all you need to do is that and then change a couple of things, like find a few alternatives. And it's not actually hard. Like, it's
right.
actually not hard in the slightest when you realize what an injustice it is. Yeah,
It's just a few options in everyday life. It's just a few options. It's just a few different changes. You know, if you
exactly.
don't go shopping, you haven't done anything.
Yeah,
You know, it's what was that little video I did the other week? It's not what we do, what we wear, or what we eat. It's
yeah,
who we are.
yeah,
You know, are we an oppressor or a liberator?
yeah,
You and I are liberators, and
exactly.
Nazia, she'll still be there. We're liberators.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not.
exactly.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect in an imperfect world. You know, as we get criticised for. Um, but you know, that's the difference. Choose to go trophy hunting or choose not to. I'll take the choose not to, please, and be vegan. I haven't
Exactly.
seen anyone come in and defend trophy hunting. I've been told to get a burger. I don't know why. I had a Beyond Burger last night actually, so I had one last night. But I haven't seen anyone defending fox hunting. What was the other one? Circus animals. Who's going to defend circus animals? Bullfighting. Come on, let's see you defend it. You've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, or even why do they not come on and go, put like a handbag, a leather handbag emoji, or
Yeah,
a pair of shoes emoji? Like, why
yeah,
is it always about
yeah.
food?
But yeah, they could say instead of saying I'm going to go and eat a steak, why don't you say you're going to go to the zoo tomorrow?
Exactly.
You know, like, or there's a circus coming to town,
It
and you're going to
shows,
go and watch the circus animals. You know,
yeah, it just shows the lack of intelligence and also
yeah.
the clear
No, 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 no,
insecurities of where people's, you know, insecurities lie because they think that it's all just about food and
no,
their
no, no.
diet.
Come on. I addressed this the other week in that video. They want to make it about food because they actually agree with veganism. They
Yeah,
agree that bullfighting, no one's defended fox hunting, bullfighting, trophy hunting. You agree with this, but who's got the courage and trolls to say you agree with us that bullfighting, fox hunting, rodeos, and trophy hunting is wrong? Who's got the courage out of all you trolls listening to this to agree with us at least on that? Who would, from this conversation, if you heard our chat about vivisection, are you going to go out and buy vegan friendly products? Because that's what we've got to buy. You got to be quite specific. Ask ChatGPT or Google, or your option is to not give a shit and go and buy the products, your shampoos, your soaps, your toilet cleaners, all the cosmetics for the wife, your perfumes, deodorant, all those things are
yeah,
all tested on beagles, monkeys, rabbits, probably various other animals. In Australia, ex-greyhound dogs. Some are rescued and sent to get adopted. Some are sent to vivisection laboratories. They don't get to retire. They get cut open and tested on, along with the beagles. There's a beagle breeding facility in MBR Acres. We know that. But
yeah,
back to Australia, I think there's one massive one in Brisbane, I believe. There's one at the University of Monash in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. And that Wisconsin, that breakout the other week, was it last weekend? Thousands of beagles in America and Wisconsin being tested on.
yeah,
And it's because of non-vegans, not because of meat eaters. It's because of your oppressive mindset. But that mindset also leads you to eat animals. But who's going to defend those beagle breeding facilities and fox hunting? Come on, let's see how brave you are. Defend them, or have the courage to actually agree with us on that. I bet none of you have got the courage to agree with us that those things are wrong and unnecessary. So easy. You don't have to give them up because you don't do them, because you think they're
exactly.
wrong.
Yeah, because those are the things that you don't participate in. Whereas I'm sure
Yeah,
somebody who was addicted to
that,
buying there was someone
that's such a
here
powerful.
who was addicted to buying MAC makeup, which by the way tests on beagles, I'm sure they would be sat in here trying to defend animal
Yeah,
testing as well. They would be coming up with wild excuses such as
yeah,
those beagles are bred into existence just so for that reason. Whereas you
yeah.
people probably disagree with testing on beagles because you don't participate in it, but you don't have the right to be against other forms of animal exploitation if you participate in different forms. Like it's just vegans are just
Yeah.
consistent
I
with
just thought exactly that. I just sorry, Emma.
that's all right.
Understand that I choose to eat meat and the animal testing and curves, I think you mean circus, is bad. Well, you have the same mindset. So you might think that animal testing and circuses are bad, but you can't criticize it. And unless you change your actual buying habits, you're still going to support animal testing. Have you got the courage? It's Anna. Anna went to hell. I'll call you out. Do you have the courage now to go and search for cruelty-free vegan products for your shampoos and your cosmetics? There's every product. Have you got the courage to tell us that you'll go and do that?
Yeah.
You just said you're against animal testing. Have you got the courage to write in this comment that you are going to go and buy the cruelty-free vegan products with the word vegan on, remember? You know, don't be scared. It's got the word vegan on it. It's nothing to be frightened of. We shouldn't need a name. People who don't assault women don't have a name. People who don't assault children don't have a name.
Yeah.
We're giving a name to the perpetrators. And
Yeah.
the only reason you get away with this right now is because you're the majority. Well, it's changing. And there will come a time where you're in a corner. You're going to be the only one who wants to eat animals.
And the
I'll
word
bring up
vegan,
that. I think,
the word vegan won't even exist one day.
yeah,
It'll be the norm.
yeah.
People who
I
don't
think I,
exploit animals, don't exploit and oppress animals, will be the majority. So the
yeah,
word vegan won't even exist. Just like there's no word for people who don't own human slaves. There's no word, like Terry said, people who don't oppress human children. It's just a mindset on how you view other animals. And you're saying that you're against animal testing and circuses, but you view animals as here for you to use in terms of their flesh. But that means that your whole brain, you can't just have like half of your brain not viewing animals as objects and the other half as viewing them as objects some of the time. Your whole brain will view animals as objects because you choose to use them for their flesh. You can't just like take away the part that says I don't view them as objects to be used for testing and circuses. It doesn't work like that. It's your whole mindset. It's how you view animals. You can't be half against oppression and half not. So it's
if
about
you,
being consistent.
yeah, it's that. I mean, we're touching the videos I've done recently where if you want to objectify animals for your use, whatever it is, you've objectified cows, pigs, chickens, sheep, fish, and you think animal testing is wrong, even though you probably pay for it, maybe you'll change. We're going to see if you've got the courage to tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
But you want to criticize circus animals and maybe zoos and horse racing and bullfighting, trophy hunting. Well, you have objectified animals for you. So by your own logic, those people who do those acts that you dislike, they can objectify animals. That's
Exactly.
how this works.
Yeah.
You can disagree with what they do. We can't stop you doing that, but it would make you a hypocrite, inconsistent, and irrelevant.
Yeah.
Your criticism is irrelevant to somebody who's killing elephants and giraffes and
Yeah.
rhinos. That I bet you go ape shit. You
Yeah.
know, if the what is it? The Japanese, they're still killing whales. You're all pointing your fingers at them. There's a whole, charity and, organizations trying to stop that. Governments trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Those very same people that are trying to stop it are putting pigs into fucking gas chambers for bacon. Well, Japanese have objectified whales. They can do that because you've objectified cows, pigs, and chickens, and whatever other animal you want to use. That's how this works. You can't have inconsistent morals. You're either against something or you're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, I've said too much again. They're not going to like that.
No, someone with a English flag has just come on talking about halal and kosher. But we'll ignore you because you're just a racist and we're against all forms of exploitation. Jesus, not just some. We're against kosher, halal. Like, there's no good way to exploit someone, so we're just going to ignore you. And this Anna person who constantly keeps trying to justify it, trying to say that, oh, you know, exploitation products in terms of their flesh are cheaper. They're not. It's cheaper to be on a whole foods plant-based site. It's scientifically proven that you actually save money. But even if it was, okay, so in that case, the cheapest option is to eat dead humans. If you're worried about money, then why not just eat dead humans or go and eat roadkill instead if you're worried about money? It's not. It's because of your taste preference and your own selfish desires. That's
Anna, you are talking bollocks. The products for your household products are the same bloody price. Vegetables are cheaper than big chunks of flesh. You don't want to be. I think I said this a couple of chats ago. If you wanted to be vegan, you would. You don't want to be.
Exactly.
You haven't even got the courage to say you're going to go and buy cruelty-free cosmetics and household cleaners, whether you do or you don't. But you said that you're against animal testing. You're not against it if you're funding it. How is that so hard to understand? And what happened to me when I saw that pig being stabbed in the throat? I realized I said I was against animal cruelty all my life. And here I was, been funding it all my life. My previous job before that incident, my nickname was Mr. Egg and Bacon. That's what I went from to this. You're making stupid excuses. And if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, then why are you here? You're here because you're guilty.
Exactly.
You're trying to justify it.
Is it Seti or Setith? They said ahimsa is incredibly important in Buddhism, but you'll still see everyone eating meat and making excuses, or even, you know, babies' milk, their flesh, their secretions.
Because they're throwing it out.
A lot of them are wearing their skin still. And I actually used to follow Buddhism a lot and up until last year when I woke up to what was happening to animals. And I find it really hard to now continue. I mean, I probably will go back to it because I'm sure I can find that balance, but I can't learn from people who are so hypocritical. And it's like a lot of the Buddhist teachers exploit animals, whereas they're talking about compassion and may all sentient beings be free from, you know, and it's like, how can you be talking about that whilst you're exploiting animals, eating their dead bodies, stealing their baby's milk, wearing their skin? So like, you know, and it's currently not illegal to exploit animals. One day it will be, but it's you think you can get away with it, but vegans see you for who you really are. Because yes, it's not illegal to exploit animals right now, but that doesn't make it okay. Just because something is legal, it doesn't make it moral or justified.
The same as trophy hunting. You know, there's an industry. There's a farm, I think it's a lion farm in South Africa somewhere. He's breeding lions. He's got thousands and thousands of hectares.
Yeah.
For trophy hunting. How many here would be disappointed if he lost his farm and got put out of business? Who's going to defend that?
Yeah.
None of you have got a spine, have you? You got no backbone. But talking about the Buddhist, the modern Buddhist, Emma, the modern Buddhist, they're the same as the rest of them. I work with a Buddhist. He's from Thailand, and I questioned him on it, and he said, "I don't pay for them to be killed."
Oh yeah, I know. I've heard that before as well, because they're not doing it
What are you
themselves.
talking about?
Because they're not
He
doing
said
it
that,
themselves. Okay, so that
no,
means
no.
what? Go on.
It's well, their rule is if they don't ask for it to be killed, ask for the animal. Sorry, ask for them to be killed. So, and I said, but you're buying them. You go in the shop and you buy the flesh, and this is the the get out of jail, but they're already dead. I've gone, Panna.
Like, okay, so I
You
assume
are,
you wouldn't do that if it was a human. You wouldn't. It would
but
it would go against your Buddhist principles, or ahimsa, or whatever it is. It would go against those principles if that was a dead human, and if you were paying for humans to be butchered and tortured and exploited, then I assume it wouldn't apply. Like, so how does it make
I
sense
don't
that
know.
in other species of animals it's still a very much oppressive mindset towards other animals? It just doesn't
But
even make sense.
he sat down and started grinning because he knew he didn't want to talk about it. He knew what I was getting at, and he knew I was right. But he just grinning and stuck to it.
Yeah.
I don't ask them. I just pay for it, Terry.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, Panna. I'm trying to work out, Emma, why the light keeps going light dark, because there's nothing moving.
I didn't see anything change. So
Okay, it seems okay.
if there's actually anyone in here who is slightly open-minded to not exploiting animals for their fur, skin, toiletries tested on them, their flesh, their baby's milk, or anything else, if there's people who genuinely think that they respect other animals but don't know what is happening to them in their name, then we always recommend going and watching Gary Yourofsky's speech on YouTube. So you can find it in the link in my bio, or you can just go onto YouTube. So if you go onto my Instagram, which you can see in the description of this video, you can go onto my Instagram and click the link in the bio. It'll take you to Gary Yourofsky's speech, or just type in Gary Yourofsky, the best speech you've ever heard, or the most important speech you've ever heard. It's an hour long, but it is literally the most important speech you will ever hear. He's very, very engaging. He explains it really well. Unfortunately, I'm sure you've noticed that as well, Terry, but he does mostly talk about food.
Yeah.
But just remembering that this isn't just about the animals that we exploit for food, because I guess back then when he did that, he didn't understand maybe the importance of helping people understand that it wasn't a diet. Now his language is very different, isn't it? Like,
but
when
also, in defense of that, in the beginning, he explains our relation to animals, as children. And what I say to people when I describe the speech and say, I say, well, Gary's my mentor. I've learned virtually everything from Gary. He explains in that video, in that speech, why we're not vegan.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? He explains why we're not, because we're indoctrinated. Because as a child, I remember him, as a child, we'd never let anyone do this to an animal. And that's how and then, so what happened? We were fed them. They were put on our backs. We wanted leather shoes. It was trendy at school. We didn't know. I desperately wanted cowskin shoes when I was a kid. We're talking 1970s. So, and they were more expensive. Anyone would think today, a pair of cowskin shoes are cheap, but they're not. Being vegan's expensive. You can pay $10 for a pair of vegan shoes in Tesco's probably, or 10 quid or something.
Yeah.
A girl asked me once, I got vegan Dr. Martens on. They were $250. It's expensive. It's a bit of money to me. And she goes, oh, it's really expensive being vegan. She said, look at your boots. I said, yeah, they're expensive. I said, but I can afford them. I said, if you can't, you go to Kmart and buy $15. You get a pair of shoes. You buy
Exactly.
what you can afford. Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to buy them. You don't have to buy them. It's not a requirement. There's no prerequisite to buy Beyond Burgers, which are probably the most expensive, readily available, burger or vegan products, plant-based products in the supermarkets. They are expensive. But if more people bought them, they'd be cheaper. And if the government didn't keep throwing money at the industries to keep exploiting and killing animals, they'd be cheaper again. And they taste delicious. And we're not asking you to eat them 4 times a day. Like it was, I was in the Philippines. There was no vegan burgers or sausages or anything.
Just fruit and veg, isn't it?
Fruit and veg.
Exactly. And it's all vegan.
Fuck, it
Like
was,
the majority of
it
your
was
diet is
delicious.
the majority.
And I think that helped me. That helped me rather than transition if I was in Australia or England from the diet that I was on, because I was already on a lot of fruit and veg anyway. So all it was making a curry or a dish with more veg, putting chickpeas and lentils in. I never used them before. Fucking hell, this is all right.
Mm.
And it was cheap. Even in the Philippines, it was cheap. Wasn't expensive. Third world country. They had soy milk. It was disgusting. First time I'd ever had it in my life. One brand of plant milk. It was horrible for 3-4 days. I'm not going back. And I didn't even half mix it. I just went straight on my cereal, on my oats and my fruit and my
About this
tea.
the other day, because like you said, you like it now but it was just that specific one that was in the Philippines. But
I think it was that brand. Yeah.
That's the whole point. If we would still be vegan. I think Beth has got this from me, because I always say I would still be vegan even if I had to only eat cardboard. But the point is, we can actually find these alternatives that we like, and there are a lot of really tasty alternatives, and you can make the food taste really good. It's just about getting out of the habit. But the point is, even if we did have to eat disgusting food, we would still be vegan, because we value the lives and the well-being of other sentient individuals over mere taste pleasure. But the fact is, we can find these amazing alternatives, and there are amazing alternatives. It's just the way that you cook it and just getting into a different
and learn to cook.
Exactly. And
I've become a much better cook, Emma. Each meal is, like I make a lot of pasta sauces. It's virtually the same sort of concept, but it's different every single time.
Yeah.
I make a curry and I can put coconut milk in it or not. And it's the same basic thing.
Yeah.
It just hasn't got chunks of flesh in it.
Exactly.
And how can it be expensive? If you're going to put $15 chicken in a curry, you take that out and put in $3 worth of pumpkin. Like how is that more expensive?
Exactly. There's I don't know what it's called in Australia, but there's dried vegetable protein. Is it TVP or something like that? Which TVP. Is like soy, it's like soy chunks, and that very much tastes like mince meat and stuff like that. So it's just again,
I've never used it.
It's actually really good. Yeah, I really like it. We use it all the time for like curries, and it's really good for like stews and liquidy kinds of dishes, because it's got a very texture. Go on.
What's okay? So
really,
why?
That's really cheap, by the
way. Okay, so why? So when I'm making those dishes, I've never been tempted to buy any of those plant-based meats, that are like a minced meat or anything. Because I use lentils or beans. So convince me why I should go and buy that over lentils or kidney beans or chickpeas.
Well, because of the texture, I guess.
Okay.
I
That's
mean,
it.
that's literally it. Yeah, I mean, I do like the taste, but it's about how you flavor the dishes. But
Yeah,
for me, it's
yeah,
the texture, you know, and it's the way that I cook tofu as well. I don't really like it when it's cooked in the oven because I feel like it goes a little bit sloppier. But again, I'd obviously still eat that over any kind of animal
yeah,
exploitation product. But I don't like it as much when it's in the oven, so I cook it in the air fryer because again, it's got that like meaty
yeah.
texture.
Crispy.
You know, as you
Yeah,
know, like the thought of even consuming dead animals or their secretions now makes me feel disgusted. But I just like the texture of certain foods. So, like, even when I cook my veg, I
yeah.
don't like it if it's too sloppy, and I don't like it if it's too crunchy. So I have to find like the in
Yes.
between where it's like quite firm and like nice. And but yeah, it's the same with the dried
You were
soy.
probably like that before. You were probably
Sorry.
like that before with it, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the
So you haven't changed. That hasn't changed.
exactly. Nothing changes. You just change. It's just getting into a
I, I,
bit of doing things slightly, buying something
I,
that's slightly
I,
different, getting used to how.
I make yeah, I make a pasta now, whereas I used to call it a bolognese. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just don't put dead flesh in it. I put
Yeah.
lentils and a couple of cans of beans in it.
But again, you know, the people who are
It's the
here
same
trying
thing.
to claim that animal flesh is cheaper, from what Terry's
Mm,
saying with the way that he cooks with like beans and lentils and all that kind of stuff, those are way cheaper than
dollar,
animal
$1.
exploitation products. Exactly. It's so much cheaper, but you don't have to use those things, and you can still get your complete protein on those products. Like you don't even need to. Protein is the nutrient that you need to worry about
They
the
don't even
absolute least.
know
You don't need to worry
until
about
vegans,
if you unless
until they were faced. Sorry, until they were faced with a vegan, they didn't even know the word protein fucking existed.
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
none of them speak about protein anywhere else.
yeah.
You know, where do you get your fiber? You wouldn't know where that fucking comes from. You know, it's yeah. You know, I'm buying lentils and all my beans. 450 gram can is less than $1, which is 50p
Yeah,
in Aldi. In the place I go.
exactly. And all these people who are going on about B12 and you've got to eat meat for B12, that is not true. Like neither Terry and I specifically take a B12 pill supplement because most of the foods that we consume, like soy milk, are fortified with B12. So we get enough B12 just from those foods. So we don't take a specific supplement. So let's just get that very clear. And also
And also,
the animals who you eat or eat from their secretions, they are injected with B12. They are
what's fed to them?
made to give, they are given B12. So you're just taking it through animal exploitation. We're just going straight to the source. It's really that simple. Same as our other nutrients and our other vitamins and minerals, all of our, nutrients, we're just going straight to the source. Whereas because people are so selfish and want to choose their own taste pleasure or whatever it is, their habits and their inability to change, you're choosing that over individuals. We're just saying that we don't want to filter it through animal exploitation. It's really that simple. So all this like B12 lies is absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. We don't take B12 supplements, neither Terry and I. Maybe some people need to because they don't have as many fortified foods, but you don't need, not everyone needs B12 tablet supplements. And you're getting
And,
it through the animals anyway.
and well, yeah. Look, you've covered that. And they're not just getting supplements. They're getting the hormones.
Exactly. Yeah.
The antibiotics that are put into them in case they get sick. Not
Yeah.
when they're sick, in case they get sick.
Exactly.
And I'd like to bring up, like, whoever brought up supplements. I mean, seriously, you've never taken a multivitamin? You've never had a vitamin C? I bet there's a packet, on your kitchen shelf at the moment. Like it's fucking crazy. And I'd like you to all to Google this, Google these letters, Amnipro, AMNIPRO. It's a plant protein made from molasses, which is base sugar, I think, when it's boiled away, which is a plant protein. And it's designed for sheep. So they're giving fucking sheep plant protein to feed to the fucking sheep.
Exactly.
And you want protein from fucking animals. You wonder why we're fucking angry. Not one of you I have seen defend bullfighting or fox hunting yet. Have you, Emma?
No, that's all they want to talk about is their flesh, isn't it? They just want to talk about their addictions, basically. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because especially this Anna girl, she's literally been here this whole 70 minutes that we've been on this live stream, and it's like, this is how invested you are in defending your guilty conscience. Guilty conscience. It's like, it's so obvious what is happening here. It's so transparent that when else would you stay on a live stream from people trying to
Something you're not
defend your
interested in.
victims, constantly trying to defend your actions? It's like, it's actually wild. You know, you're invested in this so much because you're trying to defend your own immoral actions.
Can I tell Anna what I do in my spare time with the basketball?
Yeah, come on.
Well, what I do, Anna. This happened last night. Actually, I felt really fucked off last night. I was watching a movie and I decided in the advert to pick my phone up and I searched for a vegan group. Sorry, for a basketball group. It was local to me, and I started watching videos on basketball, and all I hear is that bounce, 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 fucking bounce. I got on that post and I said, stop forcing me to fucking watch basketball. I don't want to play basketball. I don't like basketball. Fucking leave me alone. Stop shoving your basketball beliefs down my throat. And they come back to me and say, well, why'd you come to the page? I said, well, I just fucking had to come and tell you to stop forcing it on me. That's what you sound like, Anna.
Yeah, 100%. You've been here for a long time.
That's exactly what you sound like.
Really
You
interesting.
all do. You all do. You pick a subject that you dislike and then go and attack it. Why? I fucking hate basketball. Do you know what I do? If a basketball post comes through, I hit hide ad. Irrelevant, offensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I fucking hate basketball, all right? And I'm allowed to.
But
I don't give a fuck if you do or not.
You know what you're doing is wrong and you've got a guilty conscience, like we just said, it's just very obvious what is happening. So instead of just defending it, why not just explore it a little bit? Just explore why you're feeling like that. Do some research, look into the actual exploitation that you're participating, start to understand that you do have an oppressive mindset towards animals, and it's just flipping that mindset to understanding that they're individuals rather than objects. So if we want to just start wrapping it up there, and you know, maybe again tell people what you recommend that they go and watch, and then if anyone's rewatching,
well, the speech. I mean, Anna, if you've spent 70 minutes here, that's the same length of time of Gary's speech.
Exactly.
Have the courage. You don't have to tell us what you did afterwards. He asks you at the end, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now after this little chat that Emma and I have had? How do you feel about having the same mindset as a trophy hunter, as the dog and cat meat trade people? You have the same mindset that animals are there for them. Next time you see any animal cruelty, charity wanting your money, sure, send them some money, but you support the mindset that's behind that. And it's, I told you last time, Emma, that I've started to refuse money from non-vegans in the street now. I won't take it.
Yeah. I saw you talking about that the other day. I can't remember. Oh no, it was
with Beth, I think.
Outreach conversation you did that. You sent me a link to it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No, it's to alleviate guilt. That's why these charities hit you. They know you're guilty about what you do, so you could help those people. So you want You want other people to lose their livelihood from putting tigers in cages and drugging them for tourists so they can get photographs. You think that's wrong? Or camel rides in Egypt, the bullfighting, the fox hunting, the orcas. You want them to close down and lose their jobs. But the moment we ask you to stop fucking drinking cow milk, you start complaining about farmers' jobs. You seem so concerned about farmers. That's what they do in Australia. They didn't give a fuck about the car industry that closed a few years ago. Kodak in Melbourne, they had a factory with 800 people, I think it was, about 2002 or something, closed. Why? Everyone got digital cameras. Did you see anybody protest for those people? What about the camera people jobs? What about the video shop owners? Invested their whole life into their business, closed overnight like that. Because you, people like you and me, went and got electronic. But now you're so concerned about farmers because you think you're going to lose something. This time you think you're going to lose. None of you have lost anything. You've had no rights violations. You've lost no choices. You choose to be on the wrong side of history, and one day you'll wake up. You will hang your heads in fucking shame.
Yeah, just like we did. Yeah, 100%. Right, thank you, Terry.
That's my last rant.
No worries.
That's my last rant. I think you got enough time in there. You know, like
yeah,
I'll try and give you a. Thanks, Emma.
No, hopefully we've opened some minds a little bit. So, go and watch Gary Yourofsky's speech. If at the bare minimum, just click the link in the description of this video. It'll take you to the 6-minute documentary. That's from the don'twatch.org guys. So yeah, the bare minimum, please just go and watch that 6-minute documentary. Especially Anna, you've been here for a while. You're very fixated on this. So maybe it's just time to actually see it before maybe you don't quite understand what happens in those industries, but you're justifying it. So maybe it's at least just a case of understanding what happens so that you're understanding what you're actually defending. But go and watch Gary Yourofsky's speech. Subscribe to Vegan Action. If
you're vegan, we're Vegan Action Global for any vegans there. If you want to start some activism, contact me. I think either through this or through Emma. We can help you get going. But Anna, it's as simple as this. Ask yourself a few critical questions. Do you want to pay for torturing animals? Is that you? Is that the person you are? You want to see animals being tortured? There's animal in a slaughterhouse right now with your name on that you could take your name off when you declare yourself vegan. But until then, there's animals trembling and terrified with your name on that you're going to buy next week. And that's going to keep happening in your name. If you want to be responsible for that, carry on.
Yeah.
But you can just remove yourself, remove your name from those poor little lambs that are going to be slaughtered, have their heads chopped off in slaughterhouses all around the world for a peaceful fucking Easter. Is your name on one of them? Terrified little lamb? You would cuddle them if they're in front of you.
Yeah.
There is nothing more fucking lovely than a live lamb in your hands. I've had that. A sheep. Wrapping your arms around a sheep. Cute. They're so loving, giving.
Yeah.
All right. They trust you.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, Terry. Thanks, guys. Thank you to all the trolls. Thank you, Seti.
Nazia.
Thank you, Nazia, for being here the whole time as well. Every single troll, you actually help get the message out to more people. So thank you for
the
participation. Exactly. Yeah,
it helps us, doesn't it? Understand.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye, Terry.
Thank you.
Bye.